Hey everybody, John the Other here, and I want to talk about marriage today. Now, this is not a revisitation of the long ago and long-standing debate between whether or not MGTOW and marriage are compatible. They're not compatible, let's just leave that alone. Rather, I want to examine the fact that although a lot of guys in a self-proclaimed MGTOW lifestyle or path or philosophy have asserted or buy into the idea of avoidance of marriage, avoidance of romantic relationships, avoidance of a lot of social contact with women because of the toxic and dangerous social and legal climate, there remains the fact that men and women are physically attracted to each other, and every once in a while we like to get together with members of the opposite sex and have a social activity. Doesn't that sound terribly clinical? So this brings into the question the issue of marriage. Not for men. I'm not going to address men who want to get married. That'll be another video. Today I'm only going to talk about women who want to get married within the context of a romantic or social or sexual relationship. And what that means for men. So what is marriage? What is it that we're talking about when we say that word marriage? Well, in the simplest terms, marriage is a legal contract between, typically, and I don't mean this is all marriages, but typically a man and a woman. And that's the man and the woman thing that we're going to address because this is talking about men's point of view in marriage, particularly to women. I'm not going to bother with same-sex marriages or marriages between goats and alligators or any of that other fucking new age nonsense. So it's a legal arrangement governing the relationship, the personal relationship between two people. But it's not a two-person relationship. It's a three-person relationship. Now, the third person isn't actually a person. It's the government under which your marriage is constituted. And that's not by itself necessarily the problem, but it leads to the problem. Because any legal contract between any two people, two men, two women, a man and a woman, whatever, is also a three-way legal contract between whoever the two participants of the contract and whatever legal jurisdiction that contract is drafted and ratified under. So, you know, if I have a contract with my neighbor, for example, that we're going to collaborate on some building project, we'll write up a legal contract and, you know, it'll say that we each provide materials or do labor and whatever. And so there's some reciprocal benefit inside that contract. And the contract, if it's well drafted, will also state, and this contract is drafted and enforced under, for example, the laws of British Columbia or the laws of the city of Vancouver or whatever. So the ratifying government is the third person in the contract. And I said, this isn't necessarily the problem, but it leads to the problem. Because in a marriage, the ratifying body, the government, that third person in the contract, brings in a whole suite of pre-existing biases and conditions and rules which are not equal between the other two parties, the man and the woman in the marriage. We live in a legal and social framework where it is accepted legal reality. Never mind that it's not actual reality. It's accepted legal reality that women are an oppressed class who must be provided for and protected and pampered and secured, and men are a oppressor class. Now, the laws of whatever state or province or, you know, country that you live in aren't going to use the words oppressor class and victim class, but that's what it amounts to. And so when you have the legal contract of a marriage, you have this unbalanced set of legal requirements and obligations and legal benefits to the two people. So it's different than just a legal agreement to build a fence or a legal agreement to start a business or a legal agreement to collaborate in the payment for a large project. The marriage brings in this completely unequal set of obligations and benefits to the two actual human people that are party to that marriage. And that inequality favors the woman. So the question is, why, if you're a man, would you participate in any such legal arrangement? Now, there are some good answers to that, but they're not rational answers. Typically, men who agree to get married, and I know I said I wasn't going to get into this, but we kind of have to. Men who typically want to get married have a romantic notion about the nature of their female partner. That even if they're aware of the unequal balance of power and the legal disadvantage and the imbalance of punitive measures in the dissolution of that marriage towards themselves, they go, well, she's not like that. So even though I'm putting a loaded gun in her hand, I know her and she wouldn't shoot me. Well, what you know is this version of her. You know this version right now in this second. You don't know what she's going to be like in a year or in 6 months or in 10 years when your legal agreement dissolves and things go pear-shaped and your financial situation isn't what it is and so on. Because if you look at the onuses and obligations and imbalance of power in the legal framework of marriage, a rational person, when presented with the possibility of doing a business transaction with another person, would never agree to that unless they were insane. So, what does it mean when a woman wants to marry either you or just somebody? They're looking for somebody to marry. It means they want to put them into that legal framework of unbalanced legal obligations and punitive measures with that third party of the state as the enforcement agent. So we hear all this all the time about men who don't want to get married being afraid of commitment. No, that's not what it is at all. It's a rejection of an inequitable legal arrangement. Even if your supposed partner doesn't point the gun and shoot at you, you're putting a loaded gun in their hand pointed at you. And it's not a gun that you have, it's a gun that they have. And what does a desire to get married mean? It means a desire to put you into an unequal legal obligation. So even if you love your girlfriend or prospective wife or your romantic partner, when they say, I want to get married, what they're saying is they want to put you into a legal cage that doesn't cage them. That's what marriage actually means. And guys need to recognize this. The desire, the stated desire of a woman to marry you is the desire to put you into an unequal legal cage with punitive measures on you that don't impact her and benefits to her that don't benefit you. And that's it. Marriage, or even the desire, the stated desire for marriage from a woman, is a hostile act.